Hello, James with Love My Pups, and it's a Q&A session, so we're going to go over some of the questions we've had in the last 10 days. Okay, so let's have a look here. Eldrado asked, how do you prevent your litter from getting water in the brain? So we're talking about hydrocephalus here. This is where you have a puppy that doesn't develop very well. It's got low birth weight. The birth weight stays about the same for the next 10 days. It doesn't put weight on. And it's got a head that looks kind of bulbous, like it's got a big brain. It typically has eyes that are moved out to the side and are bulging. So what's the outcome of this? Well, it may not be very good. I mean, you don't want these kind of puppies. How do you stop it? Well, I don't have an answer for you on that. What's going on is there's some drainage holes that go down from the skull into the spinal column, and those drainage is not happening properly, and you get a build-up of fluid on the brain, so it's called water on the brain. It's not actually water, but it's liquid of some kind. But what do you do to prevent it? Well, I don't know. I mean, I think that if you're getting water on the brain with your breedings, don't breed those two dogs together, because it's probably a genetic thing. You know, I've seen this occasionally, very occasionally, and so in those situations, I don't think that it was a genetic situation, because I've had dogs that I've bred together multiple times and never had a problem, and all of a sudden I get a puppy that's got a large head. So if you're getting half the puppies in a litter, then you definitely got to think about this being some inherited trait. But what can you do to cure it? Well, the answer is it's probably breed to a different dog. All right, next question. And so the outcome of that may not be so good either, so good luck on that. Why not? Someone's talking about my breeding video. They said, why don't you let them breed naturally? Okay, so with French Bulldogs, we never let our dogs breed naturally. And the reasons for this, it's been talked about in other videos, but the reason for this is, first off, you want to stop any sexually transmitted diseases. I did a whole thing on brucellosis, sexually transmitted disease you don't want. You don't want to get canine herpes virus, CHV1. Those would both be problems that are sexually transmitted diseases. And if you AI and the dog doesn't have, I'm talking about the stud dog, doesn't have brucellosis, then you are not going to carry brucellosis over to the female. If either dog had brucellosis and you do a natural mating, then the end of that's going to be that both dogs are probably going to end up with brucellosis, and that's a bad deal. You don't want any part of that. So avoid sexually transmitted diseases. The other one is that French Bulldogs have a hard time hooking up. And I got another question in here. I'll get to that. Well, there's another question in here where they're asking how that their dog has a hard time hooking up. What do I do? So there's another example of where we do an artificial insemination. So with the artificial insemination, you've got control of the process. You know when they bred, and you know that they bred successfully. In Frenchies, if you let them do it naturally, most of the time they can't even get it done. What happens is the poor old male is trying, gets exhausted in the process, and maybe ends up ejaculating on the ground, and your window of opportunity to breed that dog's just been lost because he just used up what he's not going to be able to replenish for a few days, or certainly a day anyway. So, number of reasons to do a natural AI, but for me, the biggest thing is French Bulldogs just physically have a very hard time getting it done. And so to go back to this other question here, if I can find it, the question was, this is Rosemary Sam. He tries, he's not been doing it successfully. He's a Siberian Husky, he's 5 years old, never mated before, and my female is in heat. I'm not sure what his problem is to do the tie. Okay, so there's a good example of a dog that you would normally let breed naturally, but in this case, you need to do an AI, because here's a situation, the dog's 5 years old. He has never, ever mated a dog before, so he's really a bit clueless as to what's going on. So if you're in a situation, and I come across this quite a bit, where somebody will call me up and say, hey, I can't get my dogs to mate, I need to mate them now. Well, the first thing is, if you need to mate your dogs now, hopefully you knew about that a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and you should have been trying that male to see whether you could at least collect from him. Because if you get to the day that you need to do the natural mating or the AI and the dog won't perform, you've got a problem on your hands. And you should have found out about that problem 2 weeks ago, so you could have been working with him and or finding a different stud dog. But the answer is I have come across situations where I've had an older male that cannot get the job done, even artificially. I can't collect from him. When I'm in that situation, what do? Well, I take the two dogs and I keep them apart for hopefully 24 hours. If they've been running around together for the last weeks and days and months, they're very familiar with each other, and you don't want that to happen. Get the male, get him away where he can't smell, hear, or see the female for at least 24 hours. Then introduce them. Then at that very moment, try to collect from him. Because hopefully he'll get excited to see the female, and the whole reproductive clock mechanism will get moving, and you'll be able to collect from him. But that's the only thing I can suggest in a situation where dogs having a hard time, is to keep them apart for at least 24 hours, if not 48 hours, and then see if you can get things to roll. This is Duan, who says, I have a female male chocolate, and I want to cross it with a male lilac and tan. What colours can the children get? Okay, so this is not too difficult to figure out. So what we know is we have a merle dog, so that is little m, big M. And she's chocolate, so she's little b, little b. That's what we know about her. And we are going to cross with a male lilac and tan. So a lilac is little b, a chocolate dog. Little d, a dilute or blue dog. By the way, we know this dog, we don't have any information, but we can assume it's not a blue dog. It's a tan, so we're going to say that this dog here, the tan dog, is AT, and we're going to assume that this dog here doesn't have any tan, so it would be AY, that's a non-tan dog. So we're going to assume that this dog here, by the way, is going to be not merle. So we're going to assume that that's what we've got going on here. So what are we going to get? Well, these are all independent of each other. So every dog that we produce has to be little b, or chocolate. So every dog has to be chocolate. Since this is not a blue dog and this is a blue dog, every dog that we produce has to be big D, little d. It is a blue carrier. Won't be blue, it's a blue carrier. And every dog that we produce has to be AY, that gets from mum, and AT, that it gets from dad. So that is a tan point carrier. Tan point carrier. It's not going to show it, but it has it in its genetics. And every dog, 50% of the dogs will get merle from mum. They all get non-merle from dad. So you're going to get two choices here. You either get MM, which is a merle, or you get big M, not merle. So you get 50% merles, and 50% not merles. And by the way, you never breed a merle to a merle, because if you do, you're asking for all kinds of problems with deafness and blindness and all kinds of other nasties. So what do you get? Well, there it is. You get half the dogs are merle, half the dogs are not merle. The ones that are merles will be chocolate merles that carry blue and carry tan points, and the other ones will be chocolates that carry blue and tan points. So there it is. So now that's an interesting dog at that point. What do you breed that back to? Well, if you breed that back to another lilac, unrelated, BB, DD, that has full tan points, AT, then what you'll end up getting is you'll get a, I've drawn this wrong. Yes, DD. That's a DD. So that's the lilac dog you're breeding back to. What you'll get is a litter of half. They'll all be chocolates. Half of them will carry blue, half of them won't. And half of them will get full tan points. So you'll get a litter of half blues that carry chocolate and half lilacs, of which half of them will show nice tan points, provided they don't have brindle. All right, enough on that one. Somebody has asked about black and tan. They want to know about how do you get black and tans. Okay, so the aging is responsible for fawn, and tan points. And it comes in 3 varieties. It's either little A, which is recessive black. Hope we can read that at the top there. It comes as AY, which is fawn. Or it comes as AT, which is tan points. So that's what comes on the A gene. So there's you get 2 copies on the A gene locus. So what are the possibilities? Well, the possibilities are AY, AY. That is basically a fawn dog, unless it has brindle. Because brindle mucks all this up. If it is AT, AT is tan points. Again, as long as brindle's not present, because brindle messes it up. If it's AA, it's a black dog. It's what's called a black recessive dog. It has a very uniform coloured coat. They're very pretty dogs. Pretty rare too. An AA dog, again, as long as it doesn't have brindle. Actually, I think even if it has brindle, it may end up showing being a solid coat colour. It'll be a solid coat colour. So, and then the last one, by the way, is you can get AAT, we'll do ATA. That ends up being tan points too. That actually shows tan points as well. So, this one here and this one here, ATAT, ATA, both of those come up with tan points. If you want it to be a blue dog with tan points, then on the D gene it has to be little d, little d. That's a blue with tan points with those. If it's a chocolate dog, it's little b, and it's a chocolate dog with tan points. If it gets both of these together, it's a lilac with tan points. And if it doesn't have any of that, it's a black and tan. So a black and tan dog is going to be either ATAT or ATA. We'll just write it down as ATA. That is not chocolate and is not blue and is not brindle. That will be a black and tan. It'll end up being a black and tan dog. So that's a black and tan dog, and so is that. That's a black and tan dog. So basically a black and tan is not a blue dog, not a chocolate dog, not a brindle dog. That is AT or ATA, ends up being a black and tan. If it carries chocolate, it's a chocolate and tan. If it's got blue, it's a blue and tan. If it's got both of them, it's a lilac and tan. Oh, and one last thing. The thing that will wipe all of this out that you won't see it, if the dog is literally cream, that covers everything up. And although the dog has the tan points, it won't show it. So literally trumps everything, brindle, everything else. If it's literally, it absolutely covers everything up, and you will not see that that dog is a blue or a chocolate or a blue and tan or a chocolate tan or a black and tan. Okay. That's that. Okay. By the way, that was Winston Scott who asked about, one of other people who asked about that. Let's see. Oh, James, how do we find the test kits? Plus, how do we draw and find the stuff to draw on eBay? I think we're talking about the brucellosis test kit. I will have those on my website shortly. Brucellosis. I will have the test kits for that on my website. You will need a 22 gauge, I recommend a 1-inch needle. I recommend that for all work, blood work. And you will need, what else will you need? You need a syringe. And I like a 1 cc or 1 milliliter syringe. And those you can absolutely find on eBay. But I'll provide those. If you buy a brucellosis kit from me, I'll include a needle and a syringe too. It's going to be $35, and I should have them on the site in a week, but I don't have them there yet. Okay. What dry food do we feed? So we feed Life Abundance. I'm going to put a link on that on the website here shortly. It'll probably be another week on that. But we swear by this stuff. I mean, our dogs love it. It seems to really help with any kind of an allergy situation. It's not super cheap, but it's not super expensive either. It's a dry food. So Life Abundance, that's what we feed. And we really like that product. Okay. So somebody asks, that says, Jacob from Australia asks, I'll pick my pen up here, asks, nice vids mate. You like the Australian lecturers? Nice vids mate. Quick question from Australia. I bought a blue female for breeding purposes. What is the best genetic to breed her to get some lilac pups? Okay, so the lilac pup is little b, little b, little d, little d. That is, and then ky, well, doesn't have to be, but ky, we want to get the brindle out of it. That's, if you have a BBDD dog, it'll be lilac. If it's KY, then it'll look really pretty. If it's KB, it's going to be striped up and you won't be able to get things like tan points. So we try to get brindle out of things ourselves, but we'll just, okay, that's a lilac dog. So in a Frenchie, you can't test for chocolate. Well, you can, but it's rare. So if you look at this dog, it'll look blue, light gray. When it's born, it will have a lilac-y, purpley look to its lips and its nose and its paws that might go away as it gets older. But the real test on this is you test the dog and it comes back from like Animal Genetics as little d, or UC Davis as little d, you know it's blue. But it won't come back as little b, What you do is you take the dog into a totally dark room and you take a video with the light on your smartphone, and this dog will have a red demonic look to its eyes. Not a flash, not a photo, it has to be a video. And it doesn't show up when their eyes are first opened at like 2 weeks. You may see it, you probably won't. It becomes a lot more pronounced as they get older, and by like, a couple of months, 3 months old, you can normally see it really well. But it's a little bit tough to see for the first 3-4 weeks of their life. If you have a litter that you think you've got a lilac in there, go take a video of all the puppies together and compare them and you'll see a difference. You can get the odd kind of red artifact in an eye. That's not what we're talking about. It's a consistent look of red. And you typically see it better as the puppy's looking off camera and you're taking a video kind of through their eye to see it better. But what you'll see is you'll see here's their eye and the pupil here, and you'll typically see a red. When it first shows up, you'll see a kind of a red around the iris is where you'll see it. When it can be really striking in a dog that's, a year old, you will really see this red ring or a completely red area in the middle. But anyway, we'll get off topic here. There's our lilac dog. We know it's lilac because it's got the red eye glow and it's test blue. If you want to mate that to another dog that is not chocolate, that is blue. Well, we can't get any lilacs out of this. What we'll get is every puppy will be a copy of chocolate and every puppy will be blue. So what we'll end up with is all dogs, all puppies that are chocolate carriers that are blue. If you breed them back to a lilac, well, now we've got the chocolate gene on the one side and chocolate on the other. We'll get a litter of half blues that carry chocolate and half lilacs if we bred this puppy back. If this puppy actually has a copy of chocolate, and we can't test for it, so we wouldn't even know it's there, and the eye glow does not work on a chocolate carrier. If we breed this dogs, different story. Now we get every puppy is blue. Half the puppies are blue chocolate carriers and half the puppies are chocolates. So we get half chocolates that carry blue, and we get half lilacs. So the answer to your question is, if you don't have a chocolate gene present on both sides, you're not getting any lilacs. So you can try it, you maybe get lucky, maybe there's a chocolate gene you didn't know about, you end up with half lilac puppies. If not, you have to take one of those puppies, breed it back to a lilac, and you'll be successful. Angie asks, why do the females hold on to the males so long when they're mating? Is it so they can soak up the sperm, or is there another reason? So no, you got it right the first time. The reason that dogs tie up, so if you look at a dog, the male has a kind of what's called the bulbus glandus. It's an area that blows up on the shaft of the penis, and that's what when they mate, that swells inside the female and it makes the physical tie where the two of them can't separate. And the reason for that is you don't want the sperm coming out of the dog, you want the sperm going into the dog and ending up in the uterus to fertilize eggs if they're there. And so it's extremely important when you are doing artificial inseminations that you keep that dog's rear end up at 45-degree angle or more for, my recommendation is 30 minutes, and you've got your finger in there for at least the first 15 minutes to make sure that nothing comes out. So many times I have people who say, well, I went to the vet, I had an AI done, and I put her in a cage, like you suggested, and then I saw there was kind of a puddle on the ground. Does it matter? Yeah, it matters. You've lost those sperm's ability to get your dog pregnant. So absolutely, you absolutely want to make sure that the dog tied, if your two dogs are mating and they're tied, don't go get a water hose and separate them unless you don't want to have puppies. Otherwise, leave them alone, let them hook up, and it might take, anywhere, if it looks painful, but it might be 10, 15, 20 minutes that they stay in that somewhat precarious position. If you're doing an AI though, absolutely, you want to put a finger in and you want to keep that dog elevated with a finger in for at least 15 minutes and then staying elevated for at least another 30 minutes. And I've got videos on that, so there's more details. I think that's probably about it with the questions. Let's just look back and see if there's any other ones here. Somebody asked, where do I get my genetic testing done? So I go to Animal Genetics. .com. You can just Google them. They're great people. They have coupons every now and then where they reduce the price of stuff. Their fall one's just been, so you've missed out on that one. But there'll be another one in the spring. Typically a whole coat color panel is $130. If they have a coupon for it, it's $95. To do an individual test is $40. They will give you swabs that you can put in your dog's mouth. They're free. Go online. You can get them from them for free. You swab the dog, send it off. After they've had the test results for about 3 or 4 days, they'll have the results on their webpage. You cannot do swabs on puppies that are nursing. On puppies that are nursing, you need to remove the dew claws and send the dew claws off. That's the only way that I know to do it. Or you've got to send blood off, and how are you going to get blood out of a little puppy? I don't recommend you try that one. Let's see if there's any more here. Oh, well, I'll just relate one story. I had a customer, this is an interesting one. It's a phone call conversation. So this person's got American bullies, and their bully was at 64 days and still has not gone into any signs of labor. So with 64 days, no signs of labor. Now, supposed to be 61 days, so here's our timeline at 64 days. You're supposed to have puppies at 61 days. 61 days from AI. So you're already 3 days past the last AI date, and she still hasn't shown any signs of it going to labor. Her temperature hasn't dropped. She's not doing any nesting. She's still eating food like crazy. What the heck is going on? And the dog's pregnant too. What's going on? Well, I got a phone call this morning and he asked me, there's a balloon coming out of, what does that mean? And it's like, that has just had his first puppy and you need to get to the vet ASAP. So the dog actually had its first puppy at 65 days. Well, I had a conversation with that person back here when they were worried about that. She had sent me a question and I called them up because I was concerned about their dog because it was 64 days. What happened is that they AI'd 1 day after a progesterone level of 1. Actually, it was a half. So the vet steered them wrong and they did the AI way, way, way early. So they did the AI like 5 days early. This is 5 days early. Remember that so they AI'd here. This is where the AI, the dog actually ovulated here. The dog ovulated about 3 days later. So it's 65 days from ovulation is when puppies, 63 days from ovulation is when puppies appear. But because they AI'd 3 days before that, it looks like these puppies are coming way late. They're not coming way late, you AI'd at the wrong time. So it can really get you in trouble here. If you AI way early, the sperm may stay alive inside the female and get the dog still pregnant, but you're going to get your timing totally wrong. So that's what happened to that person. That was, I think, poor information from the vet probably in terms of when to breed. They bred nowhere close to the right time. They were lucky they got a pregnancy. They did get a pregnancy, but it completely confused them, where they're thinking that puppies are going to show up here, and they show up 4 days later. And the reason they showed up 4 days late is because they AI'd 4 days early. So everything's timed off ovulation. It's got nothing to do with new AI. Okay, we thank you for watching our videos, and if we've got some more questions you'd like answered, then certainly drop us a line. We'd really appreciate if you subscribe to us. If you think we're complete idiots, let us know and we'll address that too. And again, look after your dogs, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.